I would like to introduce to you my neighbor, and most importantly, my friend, your candidate for governor, Mr. Chuck Hassebrook.
Some years ago, I talked to a farmer from south central Nebraska, a farmer and agribusinessman who really got this. He said to me, Chuck, you know, my farm and my business are big enough and they're successful enough that I know every one of my kids is going to have the opportunity to come home and be part of that business. But he said, I also know that if we don't have any neighbors left, they're not going to want to come back. They're not going to want to come back. And so he was working very hard to ensure that everybody in his community, his neighbors and the whole community, had genuine opportunity. Because you see, he understood that his true interest was tied to his community. His true interest was tied to the common good. And that's what government should be about. And that's why I'm running for governor. I have 3 priority strategies that I want to talk about to create genuine opportunity for every Nebraskan, and, you know, offer our children and grandchildren the opportunity to build a career close to home, so they don't have to move 1,000 miles away to get a good job, and so we don't have to go 1,000 miles to see our grandkids just because our children can't find a good job close to home. Now, the first of those strategies is I want to work to give every Nebraskan the opportunity to gain the education they need and the skills they need to succeed in the 21st century. Today, we have a knowledge-based economy, and you know, there's no greater asset that a person can have in succeeding than a good education and good job skills. Now, I'll go further than that. There is no greater economic development asset that a community can have, that a state can have, than a well-educated workforce. But we've got a problem in Nebraska. We got a lot of kids from disadvantaged backgrounds who start kindergarten who are already so far behind that they don't have a chance. The odds are against them from day one. And she thought I was talking about her, I think. But we have a lot of kids who start kindergarten so far behind that they don't have a chance. And now we all have a stake in fixing that, because these are Nebraska kids. And if they can't achieve their full potential, then our state and our communities can't achieve their full potential. So my top budget priority as governor will be expanding early childhood education, preschool, so that we give every kid in our state a chance to start kindergarten prepared to learn and prepared to succeed. I think there's simply no better investment, no better long-term investment in the future of our state in enabling our kids to start school prepared to learn. My second priority is to create Nebraska jobs, wealth, and opportunity by developing our world-class wind resources in ways that benefit the environment, but also help Nebraskans build jobs, build wealth, and create opportunity. You know, Nebraska has the nation's 3rd best wind for production of electricity. But you know, if you get in your car on the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains and you drive across the plains of eastern Colorado, through Nebraska, and across western Iowa to Des Moines, you know the place you see the fewest wind turbines is in the state with the best wind? Now, there's a reason for that. Colorado and Iowa have passed policy to encourage wind development. Nebraska has policy that discourages wind development. As governor, I want to put state policy fully behind developing our world-class wind resource, but developing it right in a way that builds wealth and opportunity and jobs for Nebraska and help build new businesses. My final strategy is to create jobs and opportunity by lending the support of state government to the small businesses, the family enterprises, the farms and ranch and other family businesses that have always been the backbone of Nebraska's economy. You know, Nebraska's on the cusp of a whole new generation of entrepreneurial opportunities. A friend of mine, George Johnson, who lives in Cody, Nebraska, in the Nebraska Sandhills. Today, he sells some of the finest culinary vinegar, cooking vinegar, in America, in the world, to the very finest restaurants in New York City and in San Francisco. And he does it from Cody, Nebraska. Couldn't do that without the internet, but with the internet and broadband today, that's the kind of business development we can have in Nebraska. When I'm governor, I'm going to put a priority on supporting the small businesses, the family farms and ranches, the family enterprises that have long been the backbone of Nebraska's rural economy and have contributed mightily to the metropolitan economy as well. So, supporting small enterprise, developing our world-class wind resource right, and enabling every Nebraskan to get the education they need to succeed in the 21st century, those are the keys to creating good jobs and opportunity for every Nebraskan. Now, some argue that the way to create jobs in Nebraska is simply to cut income taxes on the rich. And I strongly disagree. Because if you focus on cutting income taxes on the rich, it has two effects, and neither are good. One is that you have to shift taxes to hardworking, modest income families that are less able to pay. And the other is that you squander your capacity to invest in creating jobs and opportunity for the future. And you know, if you don't invest in your future, then you're not going to have a very good future with jobs and opportunity. It reminds me of an old farm saying. The old farm saying was, you don't feed your seed corn to the cattle. Well, cutting taxes on the rich while failing to invest in our future is like feeding your seed corn. And Nebraskans don't believe in feeding their seed corn. Because if we want our state and our communities to be as strong as they can be, then we must invest in creating a future where every Nebraskan has the opportunity to participate in our state's prosperity and where every community has a chance to thrive. That is how we best serve the common good. And that's why I want to be governor.